Jamie, let's pop off right now. We got to get started.
We got to go.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's get the people in the chat. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle, the Notre Dame Navy post-game instant reaction show presented by irishsportsdaily.com. I am your host, Greg Flamong, and with me, as always, is Jamie Ueyama, Mr. Jamie University, and the Godfather himself, Mike Frank, is here to give us his takes. We were talking before. Everyone's in a good mood, so it's gonna be a fun and jovial show. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If this is your first time catching the show, please hit the like, please hit subscribe, please hit the notification bell so you know we're going live. Links to the podcast are in the description below. You're going to be able to catch us every post game, every game, after every game. We're going to be here, so you're going to want to check us out. Make sure to head over to irishsportsdaily.com and look at all the content that's about to go up. We're going to do interviews. Andrew Mentok is on site. He's gonna be writing some stories about the game. And then tomorrow I've got my post-game morning after recap. So you're going to want to catch us there. Thanks one more time for tuning in after Notre Dame's thrilling, dominating 42-3 victory over Navy. And before we get into that, I want to talk to you about ESQclothing.com. They are one of our sponsors on this show. And you're going to be able to catch ESQ on Marcus Freeman. He's wearing it all the time. The Notre Dames are wearing it on the player walk on their bomber jackets. And you're going to want to check out ESQ's bamboo dress shirt by Ga Wang. Machine washable, odor resistant, wrinkle resistant. You can wear it to weddings. You can wear it out. You're going out tonight. Put on your ESQ shirt and hit up the bars and have a good time. So check out ESQclothing.com and upgrade your shirt game. Fellas, Navy games, they can go bad. They can go bad. And they didn't. It was a great performance, offense and defense. I want to go to the Godfather first. Mike Frank, give me just your main takeaways just right off the top. What did you think of how the game went today?
Well, I think what Notre Dame needs to do more than anything is continue to play this game first game of the year. If they can do that, then you're not going to have a lot of these problems that they've had in the past when they play this team. And look, this team's a good team when you don't have the time to prepare for them. But when you do have some time to prepare for them, sooner or later, the athletes are going to take over. And I think that's what you saw today. I thought they had a really good game plan, offensively and defensively. I thought Jared Parker called a great game in this game. That was one of the big question marks going into this. How is he going to do calling the football game? And I thought he did a tremendous job. I liked that he was leaning heavily on the run to kind of get things going and then just setting up a nice passing game. And then obviously the thing that everybody's going to talk about and rightfully so is it's amazing what a quarterback can do to an offense. And we knew going into this, guys, that we were going to have a situation with some young wide receivers, and it's going to take some time. But, gosh, it was nice to see Jaden Greathouse catch two. I don't think it surprised any of us that he was in there and made some plays. But, then you get Jaden Thomas playing well, Deion Colsey playing well. Chris Tyree, I thought, did some nice things in the passing game as well. And that's what we wanted to see, guys. We wanted to see them get going in this passing game and yet still be able to run the football. The other thing I thought was impressive was, O-line. You've got essentially two new starters, a guard. You've got a center who's banged up a little bit with an ankle sprain. And you're going against a team that was, largely returning, one of the better rush defenses in the country. And they certainly did a good job against Notre Dame last year. I think it was 88 yards or something like that, or 81 something. It was very low. And, you got a whole bunch of brand new guys in there, plus a banged up guy. And I thought Notre Dame's offensive line really controlled the game and being able to do that. The other thing that stood out to me, Yama, was I thought they pass or the blitz pickup was pretty good with the running backs. And then what was there one penalty the entire game, I think, for Notre Dame? The holding call, was that it?
That's it, I think.
Yeah. I mean, geez, you can't play any better than that, really. So I mean, just an overall smashing success, and it's just nice to see, and it's nice to see, guys, that you got a quarterback where this guy could win you a game. It's been a while since Notre Dame has had a quarterback where this guy can take over a game and win it for you. And there were some clutch moments where he had to step up and make some throws and do some things, and he just did a great job. So overall, I couldn't be more pleased. I'm sure Marcus Freeman is pleased. It looked like they got out of there with no injuries, hopefully. And so, I mean, man, you want to talk about it couldn't have gone any better than the way it did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that you really could have scripted it much better. Other than maybe you get a quicker stop and Angeli gets a little bit more time in the fourth quarter. Yeah, that's about it. But if that's what you're nitpicking about the game, then I mean, I don't even know. You can't really say there's much to complain about. I thought, I mean, just everything you saw from the offense. I mean, first of all, you got to remember that Navy returned a lot on defense. They did. Returned 10 of their top 13 tacklers. They were expected to be pretty good. Like, that wasn't like supposed to be a bad Navy defense. And Notre Dame couldn't do anything against them last year. They couldn't run on them, right? Like they got the big play against their pass defense, but they couldn't protect. They couldn't run the football in the second half. It was like almost a 40% havoc rate for Navy in the second half. This game, they were under 10% in the entire game. And that's basically what Navy wants to do the whole time, is they want to blitz and want the pressure. I thought Parker did a fantastic job with tempo, just in terms of like keeping them off balance. So they couldn't do all these games and stuff pre-snap because they didn't have to. And early on, I thought it set the tone that early on, that very first drive, that third and long, and they're doing all kinds of games. The middle's wide open. They run that draw to Stemming, convert, right? Like that kind of.
You looked at it and you were like, oh man. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better stack as far as what you're looking for to run the football there. It's like, wow, that was just wide open. I'm sorry to interrupt, Jamie.
No, and I think it's just one of those things too where even like it wasn't like there was obviously not a lot that went wrong in the game, but say even the play where Greathouse's second touchdown, it's free rusher, right? There was probably a mistake there that happened on that play, and Hartman avoids it, calms down, looks like maybe a young quarterback, maybe that guy runs it, and he would have had a first down easy, would have had big yards, but Greathouse wide open, like not no one within 10 yards of him, and just converting that and turning that into points. And
also didn't take the check down there either. There was a check down that was easy there. It's an easy throw too, and just keeping the eyes downfield's huge.
Right, just like obviously he had a ton of time all day. You have to give credit to the offensive line, and because they ran the ball so well, that kept them off balance too. But he just was so mature, right? In terms of like is going through his progressions, knowing when to check it down, knowing when to get rid of the football, just all of those kind of things. Like even some of the plays too, where I thought like, so Estime made that catch, that ridiculous, like really nice catch on like a four-yard check down. And maybe you're like, okay, it's not a big deal. Like whatever, it's only 4 yards. But it's like guys make those plays because it's like you have like there's like a confidence that comes from the quarterback and knowing that too. And just all of those things together, people are just going to like, I don't know how you come out of this game for the Notre Dame offense and don't just feel like, man, we got a guy, and you just feel great about where things are going.
That's where it is, Yama. That's the big thing about it. That's just going to build the confidence of the young wide receivers. I mean, gosh, Deion Colsley needed a day like today. He really did. I mean, that's just going to build his confidence tremendously. And Jaden Greathouse walks into the game. He's always been a guy who's been confident, but I don't care who you are. You step on the field the first time, right? I mean, you're like, I think I belong, but I'm not sure I belong. And now he definitely knows he belongs and he can make plays. And Jeremiah Love, Christian Gray was out there a lot for a true freshman, playing out there. So just getting that kind of experience, I think is just tremendous and a confidence boost. But guys, the other thing that I think we probably won't mention or too much or won't get discussed too much is there are a lot of offensive players in the 2024, 2025 class that are wondering, what will Notre Dame's offense look like? And what would it look like if they had a good quarterback, right? And now they're starting to see, hey, wow, this is something that could be pretty special. Maybe if I go there, I can help them get over the hump. And I think that's kind of hurt Notre Dame's offensive recruiting for a while, has been the ability to show that, yeah, we can coach up a quarterback here, and we can move the football, and we will have quarterbacks who can get you the football. Oh, by the way, we're not abandoning the run. We played 5 running backs today, and one was a true freshman. So, we're not abandoning the run. And I just think it's a really good thing, what is come from all of this. And so it just could not have had a better situation than what we've seen. So,
yeah. And Jamie and I, something that we talked about, throughout kind of in the lead up and throughout the off season is like what you want to see from the quarterback, not from the quarterback, from the offense. And it was, it wasn't a specific thing. It was just that efficiency and that just the execution level. And that was what impressed me the most today. And I'll just put up the banner because we're going to talk about that. It's like, what impressed you the most? Like, to me, it was their execution level with everything that they tried to do. It's like as soon as they came out on offense, they clearly had an edge pushing them up front. I mean, it was clear as day. Notre Dame is going to dominate them up front from the very beginning. They had a good plan. There weren't busts there. Not to say that everyone was perfect, but they were leaning on them, and they were establishing the line of scrimmage on their own. And that was very impressive to me. Every time they got a third down, they knew what they were doing. With the draw play that Jamie talked about, slipping out, estimate. They obviously had a plan for that. The pass plays that everyone, Sam Hartman knew where to go with the ball. The pass blocking was, for the most part, they did very well today. And that, to me, is what impressed me the most about what they did on offense. And I can't say enough about Jared Parker because, look, anyone can have a good game calling plays. Anybody can. Some of the offensive coordinators that we don't like, they can have a good game they can call a good game. But to get them ready to go after, this is his first off season, as the person in charge, they were ready to go. They were crisp. They were not sloppy. It was not a sloppy game execution wise. And I thought that was what I was just like, it kept hitting me in the head. Like, man, they are really on it today. They really are on their game. They're ready to play. And, for all of the talk that we heard about Marcus Freeman, and he, it was a physical camp, a lot of competitiveness, going after the team, challenging them all the time. And for how many times we saw that the offense just got beat down by the defense, there clearly was a method to that madness because they came out and they were ready to go. I'll throw it to you, Mike. What impressed you the most about what Notre Dame? Let's just start offensively. What impressed you the most about what Notre Dame did offensively today?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think I just wanted to point out, I mean, what a long trip it's been from South Florida, when they played the South Florida opener.
Yeah.
And just the complete cluster that was, they basically got to restart the game twice and still couldn't put it together. And I think that speaks to what you're talking about, Greg. It's just the execution and just being crisp and being able to run plays. And, you don't have guys not lining up properly. I mean, that's something you're going to see all for the first 3-4 games across, all of college football. It's just all the mental errors. And to see that happen and Notre Dame to play the way they did tells me that, one, this is a very disciplined and smart team and a group that's bought into their coaches and what they're trying to accomplish and good leadership too. And so offensively, just being able to do all the different things that they did, of course, Hartman, looks every bit as good as we had hoped. Audric looks like he's going to have a great year. I thought all the backs showed something good. We didn't see much of the tight ends. I thought we'd see a little bit more of that in this game, especially because, we saw so much of their cover zero blitz last year. The middle of the field would have been wide open, but we didn't see that as much this time. So, overall, offensively, I think the offensive line, you got to give those guys a lot of credit. Joe Rudolph did a great job trying to get these guys together and knowing that they're going to try and throw a lot of stuff at them because that's their only chance of success. So, he had to get him prepared for like the whole kitchen sink being thrown at him. And, so sometimes as a brand new player that you get too many things in your mind and you can't keep everything straight. And I just think that Joe Rudolph did a tremendous job with his offensive line today and getting them focused to where they could handle everything that Navy was going to throw at them. What do you think, Yama?
I thought the tight ends did a really good job blocking in this game. I thought Mitchell Evans specifically was great at the point of attack. I know he had the one hold, but that was about it. Really that everything else, especially him and Joe Alt work so well together, really, really well.
I thought Coogan did a good job in there too for, he's smacking some dudes, man. Rocco,
you can go and pick out plays where Blake is driving a guy 6 yards down. There's a lot to like from just the whole front. So I think that's the main thing is like, somebody mentioned here that like, this is the most athletic offensive line. This isn't the most athletic offensive line Notre Dame's had, but they just played like efficient and they played like controlled and they just dominated. Right. And that's what you're supposed to do against Navy. Right. But it's also too, because it's the game plan and what you're doing. And they just had a plan right away where they were like, okay, you know what? You're going to shoot all these gaps inside. Okay. We're going to pin and pull. We're going to pin and pull right away. First play, pin and pull, big gain for Audric, right? Like that kind of thing. Just, they were smart with it, with what they did in the running game. And you know what? I just think there was so much like in terms of the young guys showing something too, because I thought Payne ran really well, like just hard. He ran hard.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And Audric, you expect him to be like that. And he's exactly as you expect. Right. But Payne, just in terms of just like getting skinny, like being that kind of guy that you kind of expect him to be. And then, obviously Price scoring on the very first carry that he gets, that was fantastic to see for a guy who had that. But Jeremiah Love, everybody just thinks he's a speed guy. Like, no, this guy has vision. He has great feet, and he showed it too. And he's
about that life. Yeah, he's about that life.
Yeah.
That's what Dylan McCullough said. He lowered the shoulder, Jamie.
And you can even say like Devin Ford, who obviously didn't play that much, but even him on that one drive where he gets the catch just on that play and just finishes it off. And everybody, Chris Tyree's been everybody's whipping boy too. And man, he was great after the catch too. And all those guys they just got and slipped and got enough after the catch. And there were so many times where you catch an 8-yard out, you get it for 11, right? They were always moving the sticks and they just look confident. They just look totally confident and in control. I think really I think the only one who really didn't like eat out there was Tobias Merriweather. Really was like the only guy who didn't eat today. And I think those are the kind of days that you're going to have. Like that's something that Greg and I have talked about for a long time, and you and me as well, Mike. Where I think that's what you're going to see from Tobias is like up and down days, right? Where
feast or famine,
yeah. But
and you're gonna look. Hartman, he's got a touchdown.
That was also a PI on that.
Hartman's late. It was a PI, but Hartman was late, and he knew it was late. I mean, because the on the game, they zeroed in on Tobias the whole time. You couldn't even see it, and I'm screaming like he's got it. It's there, and I'm like, where's the ball? Where's the ball? Where's the ball? Like, I know people want him to like jump up and reach around the guy. I understand that that's what people want, but That's
no, that wasn't realistic.
like that's a touchdown. And the thing is like when they're spreading the ball around like they are, I mean, what was it? 4 catches? 4 catches led the team today. Like when you're doing that, you don't get a ton of opportunities, so like that's his opportunity. If he catches that, no one is saying anything. That's a better throw. No one's talking about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
And sorry,
you would like to see him have 2 or 3 opportunities, but he just didn't even get any opportunities. Well, he dropped the one ball on that screen.
One ball early,
yeah.
On the screen,
But I wanted to mention too, because one other thing with Parker, this is another thing that I think, you probably gets overlooked in the game, but Rayon Lane, I mean, the guy was just getting cooked the whole game, and he got cooked last year. And he got cooked the whole entire, not just against Notre Dame, against everybody. So they were like, yeah, we're going after this guy. And guess what? It worked. The guy was like a PI machine, and then he got like beat bad on the Greathouse play too, right? He's not a good covered safety. So like, go after him. Great job by Parker there. And obviously, it's nice to see that they got him with everybody. You know what I mean? Like everyone they put in the slot there. So those guys were going to kind of eat in the game, and they did.
Yep. I agree.
What were there any concerns? What concerned you on offense, Jamie? Let's talk about that. Was there anything that you felt like, oh, this is I'm monitoring? Let's say monitoring.
No, not really. Like it just was one of those games where, I mean, they scored on the first 5 drives.
They scored on the first 5 drives.
Right. I mean, they had the one drive where they had the best field position, but it's not offense because it's technically special team. I guess Schrader missed the field goal. But he also was great on kickoffs, booted the crap out of the ball on the kickoff. So, I mean, there wasn't anything there that made me like, and I know it's Navy, right? Like, so chill, like people shouldn't get too excited, but that's what you're supposed to do against Navy. And they did exactly what they're supposed to do. So I can't really say that I came out of that game where I'm like, man, this is a concern, because for all we know, Holden stays. So people might say, well, Holden stays. People were raving about it. For all we know, Holden stays might be like the man 3 games from now, right? Like things can just change, and it depend on game plan or whatever, right? So I don't really think that there was anything in this game. Like they were 6 of 8 before garbage time. They were 6 of 8 on 3rd down, and like some of those were like 3rd and a lot, like a decent amount of them are 3rd and long, right? So there just really isn't anything you can kind of pick out on offense that I think that was like worth picking out.
Anybody check on Matt, by the way? Did anybody check on Matt? Yeah, well, because they did use a lot of 2 tight ends. I just
they did a lot of tight ends, but he's always he doesn't like it. They threw to 9 different wide receivers, Mike.
Yeah, I know.
And none of them were tight ends.
Yeah,
they ran a fair amount of 11.
Mike, did you have anything?
Mike, I didn't really see anything.
They ran a lot of. They had some 10 too.
Yeah. I didn't see anything that was really that concerning to me by any stretch of the imagination. I think there's so much for Notre Dame to work on. At points I was sitting there, like the short field you were talking about, Yama. I think they were like the 38 or something like that. And I said, I just would love to see Notre Dame just pound the ball straight in, all runs straight into the end zone, because you're going to need to be able to do that, right? But then you also are trying to work on your red zone game too. So you have to. There's just too many things you have to work on, and so I would have loved to see Notre Dame just pound the ball in there and get that experience with Rocco and Pat Coogan, and saying, okay, well, we're just, we're going to impose our will on this team right now. And that would have been the knockout punch that you were looking for. But I get why, there was some obvious opportunities there in the passing game, and you want to get more efficient down in the red zone, and you're not going to just be able to pound everybody. So you got some young receivers, and you got to get them going. So that was really the only thing that I thought offensively. I was like, I kind of would have liked to seen something different, but I totally understand why he went with some of the throws and the things that he did there as well. So, but we'll see. But offensively, I thought everything was great. Really was.
Yeah, for me, the only thing that is still monitoring is you have a long play of 35 yards to Great House, long run of 21 yards with Jeremiah Love. They do need to be explosive. We didn't see it. And you could have had it with the Tobias one. I mean, I don't know how long that was, but you could have had something like that where they get over the top. But even then, it wasn't a straight, like that was, they ran play action. They got fooled. He got behind the defense because the safeties were coming up. But that's something to monitor. They do. We've said it 100 times. They do need to be explosive. Okay, that needs to be in there. Obviously, you see. I think it's you kind of assume it because of what you see out of Jeremiah Love and what you see the possibilities of Chris Tyree. So it's not that I'm concerned that they can't do it, but it needs to happen. And I realize it's being pretty nitpicky. When they scored touchdowns in their first 5 drives, and they didn't have, it could, and it's like, obviously you get into the third quarter and it's like 35-0. And, that I don't want to say they took their foot off the gas, but like, I feel like Parker at that 35-0, when they went to kick the field goal and they didn't make it. Like, I feel like that play calling was just kind of like, hey, let me try some stuff, cause obviously you didn't need it at that point.
Yeah.
We can switch over to the defense now. Let's see, just some numbers for Navy here. Obviously, a very good performance from the defense. 169 total yards for Navy. 126 net rushing yards on 48 rushing attempts. That's 2.6 yards per rush. Obviously, you will take that every single time. Jamie noted in the beginning of the game, there was, Navy was doing a pretty good job moving the ball, a lot of different formations. You noted in a tweet that it just, maybe the passing game just wasn't ready yet. And that was kind of what we talked about too. It's just like a new offense. You want to do these kind of new things and add these new wrinkles. And you got multiple quarterbacks taking reps. Maybe it's just not ready for an opponent like Notre Dame. But on the whole, obviously you will take what Notre Dame put out there. Jack Kaiser, 8 total tackles. Maris Leofau, 7 total tackles. Xavier Watts, 4. John Baptiste with 4. Howard Cross, 4. Patelho, 3. Bertrand, 3. I'm just kind of going down the numbers there. So what stood out to you? I'll go to Mike first. What stood out to you defensively in a positive way here? Obviously, you hold any opponent to 3 points. There's going to be a lot to talk about there.
There was, I think for the most part they tackled well. I think there was a few missed tackles there. Some of it's probably, not the best turf to be running on, and it's been beaten down with water and things like that. So you have to give some of, a little bit of break there. But I think tackling could have been a bit better. At first, I was, I like playing the option very aggressively, and I think that they were a little bit passive at the beginning, certainly, and there's always the feeling out period. You're trying to figure out what their game plan is and what they're successful with, and then you make your adjustments. You don't want to go completely crazy at the beginning, but other than that, I thought it was really, really good. I thought the defensive line did a pretty solid job of, engaging and clogging things up. I thought they had a little bit of success up the middle with their fullback for a bit there, and then they kind of shut that down a little bit. The other thing, there wasn't a lot of stuff out in the perimeter. They just really didn't get much at all out on the perimeter, and that's where they've been, hit before. And so, overall, I thought it was a good performance defensively.
Go for it, Jamie.
Just like 0 explosives, right? They had the one pass play, Harper kind of got caught looking like he thought that, maybe he was going to, Lavatav was going to maybe rush there. He got caught kind of looking in the backfield. And that was it, right? Like that was the only explosive they had of the entire game, right? So, anytime you go into a game like that and you give up no explosives, you hold Navy to whatever 2.6 yards per carry or whatever it is, like, you're going to take that any day. And really, I just think that it's so funny because you never know, because what's camp talk and what is real or not. But, they kept talking, man, we're so excited about all these changes to the offense. And they did. It's not the exact same, right? They're not totally running because that was the one thing, is there was Navy was like the flex bone, but then it was there's little wrinkles within that, right? It's okay, well, now we're going to run midline, and now we're going to do this. And there's just okay, now we're going to do inverted veer here. All these little things that kind of, it all looks the same, but it's not, right? And now this is their thing where they came out in that first series. Yeah, like I said, it was scripted. It was scripted. So they had this great script to begin, and they come out and it's T formation, the full house backfield, and it's okay, and then they're doing this, and then they were out wide, and they're spread out here they got twins out wide, and so you're seeing all this, and as Notre Dame, maybe you prepared for it, but maybe not, you might not have seen it all. So there was a lot of that kind of going on in that first drive. And then all it really took was, I think it wasn't a tackle for a loss, but it was a stuff. Botello got that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was as soon as they got off schedule, it was over. Yeah. Right. And that was the thing. There wasn't a ton of havoc for Notre Dame in the game, but it was all timely. And as soon as that happened, Navy just couldn't, they have nothing. And that's the one thing. They don't have explosive slot backs. So they can't, so that's why too, they're playing those two fullbacks. But it's those guys are hard runners. I total respect for Dabo Fofana, and
Fofana's, man, he's a badass. I mean, that guy's
a tough kid.
5'8", only 200 pounds, and he runs like he's 240.
But you're running a stretch play with him. I mean, if that's a different guy, that guy should be able to outrun JD Bertrand to the edge, and he couldn't. So that's the kind of the difference. They don't have speed. They don't have enough speed there. And the guys who were supposed to be their speed guys, I mean, they never got the ball to those guys at all, right? So, and none of this kind of the passing game stuff, they're just obviously not there. It's probably going to be a pretty rough year for them, to be honest. They just are going to be kind of in between schemes of what they kind of want to do and what they have to do, because I just don't see them having the explosiveness there. And I think just overall, there's some missed tackles here and there. You want to see them kind of clean up, Notre Dame clean up some of the things that they did. But I mean, Maris Liufau played fantastic.
One of his better games, in my opinion.
One of his better games, and and you could say, oh yeah, it's Navy. Well, I mean, he lost against Navy last year. He was not a factor in that game, right? And here he was all over it. Everything, right? And just that, and nice to see him get a big hit, pop the ball out early. I know they didn't recover, but also Navy got kind of lucky in the game. They had 3 fumbles, they recovered them all.
Well,
it could have been. Well, yeah. Okay.
We'll see.
Allegedly, they covered all of them.
But so they never lost the ball. So according to the refs, but so there were things in this game too that could have been it could have went way worse for Navy, really. And they really only had the one bad, terrible luck play where they snapped it there backwards or whatever, that went for whatever. But that just showed they were already in a position where they just were never in a good position the whole time. They never got into a rhythm. They could not get into a rhythm. It's because they never had a time where they got a 20-yard run and they could run up to the line, and then all of a sudden Notre Dame scrambling and whatever. And even on the drive where they had that one kind of long drive, it was 14 plays, they got in the red zone, missed the field goal, right? Even that was the reason that it had success is because that was the first series for the second team, defensive line. So it's those guys are coming in, and it's oh, they got to get used to the level of play and all that, and the speed and everything. So that was just an adjustment there for Notre Dame. And then by the end of the game, obviously those guys had stepped up, and it was you saw guys like Anye, Rubio, Burnham, right? Backup guys. JJB had a nice game. I mean, the starters played well. The starters up front played well for sure. Cross was really good in this game. He was very, very good. And just like overall, like I wouldn't even say like no one had to be unbelievable in this game. No one had to be the Greer Martini making, 400 tackles or whatever. It was just like a solid team defense. And now guess what? That's not even what Notre Dame's like the best at is play option. Like Notre Dame's got legit corners. I think they're gonna have a really good pass rush. Like I'm excited for them to play a real offense and then just see what the defense looks like from here.
I think it matters. And I'll just 1 second, Mike. But so every position group was rotating in and out, whether it was the safeties or the corners or the D line, with the exception of the linebackers. And I want to kind of highlight that because they had to have a good game. They had to. That's how you get. I mean, they were very important to the scheme of the defense, and they had to be solid. I mean, that's how you can get behind things with Navy. Maris was unbelievable. Not just his numbers, but every time he arrived, it was with extreme force. And that tells me that's a guy who's playing with complete confidence because he's coming and he knows where he's supposed to be. Like you talk about playing fast and you talk about playing with confidence and playing, the game slows down a little bit. Like every single time he's there, he's just making a huge hit. And I thought Jack Kaiser, he had a one bad moment where he was supposed to, he was trying to strip the ball and he got let go of the running back, got like 3 or 4 more yards. But beyond that, I thought he was solid. I thought Bertrand had a couple like stuff like shaky moments in the hole or whatever, but on the main, like he was fine. So I thought those 3 guys, like they barely came out, and I thought they played a really good role. What were you going to say there, Mike?
Well, you were mentioning the linebackers and everything, and that's kind of where I was at as well. The one thing I didn't like, I guess, was, and I understand why. I mean, they struggled early last year trying to get turnovers, but it's like, look, Jack Kaiser, you don't want to strip that ball until you have somebody else there. You know what I mean? Because then if you don't get the ball, then this guy's running for another 4 or 5 yards. And that happened a number of times in today. And I understand why. They want to make turnovers. And if you get Navy to turn the ball over even once, they're pretty much dead. So I totally understand why they were doing that. But the other thing I wanted to mention is I really want to see Yama wearing that straw hat back there behind him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look, what do you think, Greg? Don't you think Yama looked pretty good in that?
I mean, we got to get it at least once.
By game, exactly. I mean, come on, Yama.
That's my wife's. Because she's out there with the beach volleyball.
She's out there all the time.
So she's got to wear the hat out there, whatever, right?
I think you'd look great in it, man. I think.
Hey, I can pull it off. I know. I can pull it off. I'm sure.
I think you'd look fantastic in it, anyway. All right, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. No,
it's good. Jamie. There were a couple moments that I want to highlight. Every time Navy, and another part of the reason why they didn't want to pass is they didn't want to get their quarterback just completely annihilated. The first couple of times they dropped back, Josh Burnham, who is our guy, apparently, he comes in and just great move on the tackle. And then the next time they come around, Jordan Botelho, again, he is just a good pass rusher. Yeah. No, he just knows how to get by the tackle, and he came in and that was another deep throw where the ball's severely underthrown because he's got to get rid of it because he's going to get crushed. And it seemed like every time they went back to pass, there was some player doing some pass rush move that was like they're coming, and so I just thought that was a big key. Tell us about because I know it's exciting for you to talk about giving your D-line chops. Tell me about those guys and Burnham and Botelho specifically, and those how they flash there.
Yeah, I would say too. I think that's kind of stuff that I almost expect from those guys, but I thought it was really kind of how they played, like kind of playing against the run and handling that. Like
Vitello didn't do too many dumb things,
No.
That's the reason they wouldn't put him in there, because they were afraid he was going to do dumb things. But he played very disciplined, I thought. Sorry.
There was one play where like Botello didn't get a good get off, and he got, but then the next play he just destroyed his guy, right? But that's the thing, is that like he's got that in him, and he has that kind of mentality. So I just think, like, obviously you're gonna get anytime they go back to pass, those guys aren't like made for that. So Notre Dame is going to like, all those guys got pressure because they should get pressure, right? When those things. So I don't want to like hype those guys up too much for that kind of thing, but I think just overall, especially as the game went on, because usually when that's Navy is like, usually you just get tired. You're tired of playing the cut block. You're tired of playing this, and they kind of wear you down a little bit. And that's not kind of what, that's not what happened in the game. Like Notre Dame's defensive line, like Navy's O-line was like defeated by the end of the game, right? And those were like all, it was 4 starters coming back there from them, right? So that was supposed to be like the strength of their offense. So, like, and really, like, you can, even if you look at it and you could say the fullbacks, had good, like, their numbers were pretty good, right? Like, but a lot of times they didn't give to the fullbacks because they took it away too, right? So, and what Notre Dame did there is because, and that's a lot of that is what they did up front, right? And also too, not to make this a total Maris love fest too, but him going with the quarterback on that throwback, that was, I mean, I know it was the end. It wouldn't have mattered, whatever. They were killing him anyways. But that's just like a really heads up play to do that. And like, obviously Mills ended up getting a sack on it, but just those kind of plays too, where you're just like, man, he was just really on it. Or like, right before that, on that shovel pass, boom, he's smacking it right in the hole. Like, just, I couldn't say enough good things about how Maris played in this game.
And you could say, it doesn't matter, but it could not matter having not made the play. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like, he had an opportunity to make a play and he did. And I think that's just like indicative again of just someone who understands what he's supposed to do and is completely comfortable and confident in what he's doing out there. I think his performance really bodes well for what we could see from him for the rest of the year. I want to highlight the freshmen and underclassmen in this game. Just going to put this up here. Obviously Jaden Greathouse. He just knows how to get open. He knows how to catch the ball. He knows where to find zones. He's just a very good wide receiver.
Yep.
I don't know what he's going to be in life as far as what his NFL prospects are. He's going to be a great college wide receiver. He just knows how to play the game. Rico Flores got out there as well. Kind of a similar type game to Tobias, where he's out there. Not a lot came his way, but he's obviously in the rotation there. Jeremiah Love, it's been said about the Ricky Waters thing. I'll be darned if he doesn't run just like Ricky Waters.
Kind of does,
It's kind of crazy how that's true. They had an opportunity.
He has that kind of ability. So.
He does, and he ran it inside. He had his head down, and he was breaking tackles. So obviously that was very good. Christian Gray got in the game there. They had him in a bunch at corner. My dad actually texted me from the stands, "Where's Ben Morrison?" He wanted to see Ben Morrison. I said, they don't want Ben Morrison out there against this team. They need him. They need him for other games against Ohio State. But Christian Gray's out there. Obviously, Josh Burnham made a play. This is a redshirt freshman. So there was a lot of guys. Jabron Payne, again, like he didn't play last year. He was hurt. Redshirt freshman. I thought he ran hard, like Jamie said. Looked good. Holden Stays got a ton of snaps there, Jamie. So you were talking about you wrote extensively about the freshmen and underclassmen in the offseason. What impressed you there, Jamie? There was a lot going on.
I mean, all those guys you mentioned for sure. I think if I had to pick, just a few out of there, I would say, Love. Really stood out. Love and Greathouse. I think those are just obvious choices. But Jaden Mickey, for me too. Just
nice
how he
tackle.
tackled, really
Yeah.
good tackling. Like just,
I mean, you just couldn't
yeah.
draw it up better than that. I mean,
perfect,
it was
perfect,
just
like clinic.
absolute brilliant tackling. Yes.
Yeah, clinic tape. I love to
Yeah.
see it. And also too, just make you think you're like, get this, like you just want to see more of them when you see
Oh, yeah.
stuff like that, right? And obviously, like, you know, Burnham getting that sack as well is always good to see. You know, I saw someone in the comments mention, you know, Jalen Sneed. I don't think he got in there, but this isn't.
He was in
This
there.
is. Was he in there? Okay.
Yeah, he was in there. One of the last drives. Yeah,
Oh,
he
well,
was in
late.
there. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he was in there
Not really,
late.
not really a Jalen Sneed game though.
This
Yeah,
isn't.
it
Yeah,
wasn't.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
it's not his. It's not his kind of game.
Yeah.
And
I was
this
surprised to
is-
see him in there, to be honest. You know, because it's not his type of game. But
yeah, so you're not going to see him when Notre Dame is playing run heavy teams this year. He is not going to be a big factor. Maybe later in the year he can get to that, but just when you watched him, you know, in camp, he is someone who is not like, he's a great athlete, man, fantastic athlete, absolutely just flies to the football, all these things. You love all of the traits and all that kind of stuff, but he is not there yet in terms of like defeating blocks, getting off of blocks, recognizing run game stuff. He's just not there yet.
or in coverage.
But, you know, but
he's not good in coverage.
As a sub package guy who's going to attack,
Yes,
he is going to flash big time. And that is where you're going to see him on third downs going forward. He is going to be a factor. So, like, don't worry. Like, this wasn't a Sneed game. Someone mentioned Tyson Ford there too. Tyson Ford, I think he's out of the mix right now. He's not in the rotation. And to be honest, like, I think he's kind of far away because where they're at right now is, you know, they have Nana and JJB there at that spot because he kind of moved outside, and he's not going to play over what they have inside. And then even the next guy is, if, you know, they listed Burnham.
Heinisch was in there.
Heinisch got in there too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So I think he's, you know, he's out of the mix. He needs some stuff to work on. And to be honest, he didn't really show much in camp. Like, he just didn't really flash in a way.
I didn't see it either.
No. So, and it's not to say that he won't get his number called, because guys progress during the season, right? And sometimes you just need that kind of motivation to do it, right? And all of a sudden you're going out there and you're, you know, kicking butt as on scout team or whatever, and then you're moving up and getting a chance, right? So we'll see where he's at, but he's kind of out of there right now. But like, it's not like they don't have enough young guys that are doing it. There's like, you know, there's a ton of guys that are already good players, like guys who are clearly obviously going to help. They helped in this game, and they're going to help Notre Dame win games this year. And these guys are just getting started, right? Which is why too, like, you're just excited about kind of like the future of where things are going with Notre Dame, because these guys aren't close to as good as they're going to get.
Yeah. Let's move on to some coverage referee takes. NBC, you know, I thought I liked the pregame on Peacock. I thought that was good. It was a fun time talking about it. They really showed a lot of the, you know, a lot of the field and this whole scene and everything, and I thought that was good. I think the fact that they're playing Navy and the running clock and the lack of commercials there, I thought that helped out. Jason Garrett is a disaster. He's terrible. Were you able to listen, Jamie?
I mean, I don't really pay attention too much to Jason Garrett during the game. I don't think he's very good.
He's awful. He, you know, like cheering, like during the play, Navy is throwing the ball and he's cheering. Like, he's got him. Like, what? You can't, like, please don't do that. If anyone ever did it either way, yeah. If anyone ever did it for Notre Dame, you'd call him a homer. And he's doing, and this is the thing about playing Navy. And it's funny because they talk about these players like it's like they're our nation's military, like, leaders, right? Like, they are going to, like, they're going in the military, right? Like, they are going to go possibly into battle and these are players that like learn to be accountable and disciplined and everything. They talk about them like anything they do is just the most amazing thing. Oh, they're trying hard. Like, what's this stuff about just constantly giving them credit for trying hard?
That's why they're doing it.
But you don't give. So what? They tried. It's like 21-0, and it's like oh, but they're never gonna quit because these guys, they don't quit. It's like, congratulations. Like, you don't have to treat them like this. Like, it's a football game. Call the football game. Jason Garrett. I thought Noah Eagle was fine for the most part.
He was good.
I thought he was pretty good. Yeah. Mike, did you have any comment on any of this? We can get to the referees.
They are what they are. It was interesting. I think the NBC thing, when the game was starting, I was just like, man, this has got to be the worst picture I think I've ever seen. I mean, are we going back to 1970 here on the actual picture of the game? I thought it was really bad. It's like, what is going on here? But it did get better and everything. But I don't know. I don't know. I tend to just not really pay much attention to them. I got my little list of people that I'm focusing on, and somebody I'm looking for somebody to blame about something for sure.
Yeah.
And so that usually preoccupies my mind enough. And then what I'm going to say to anger Jamie, I got to say something, at least one or two, I didn't really get anything.
You couldn't do it. There was nothing today. Notre Dame didn't give you any ammunition today.
We should say the leader in the clubhouse for the player that gets Mike's ire is DJ Brown. He missed the tackle on, I think it was 3rd down, which would have, they might have gone for it. I don't know. We should.
I don't think so.
Not from there.
This Navy coach,
he would have made that tackle. There's no way.
Embarrassment. This Navy coach, that's awful. Kicking the field goal when he did, that is awful. You have to score a touchdown there. You have to, because then you get the ball to start second half. Kicking a field goal is the worst thing you can do. That is
as Navy, yes.
How do you explain it? You cannot accept. That was so bad. I can't. Your first game as the coach, and this is how you show them. This is how you're going to call it. I hated that. That was so bad. As far as the referees, an abomination. They were not good. It was the calling back the PI on Tobias.
What was that?
He's early. You threw the flag.
Also, like, who came in to say that wasn't?
Yeah.
Because obviously it wasn't that guy who did it. There was someone who came in. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
How about they just showed it on the big screen and it was?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That was horrible.
It was a little early. It was a little early. I mean, Notre Dame's going to get away with that now and again too.
Oh, for sure.
So
if he didn't
don't
throw the flag.
Yeah, exactly. That's one that you don't pick up. Yeah,
but you
pick it up. It's got to be obvious.
Yeah, I agree.
The fumble recovery by Kaiser, that can go either way. We're not getting a really good view of it. It's just like you're upset about the other call. The fumble recovery by Bertrand.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
How
How could you even see? You know what I mean? How could you even see who had the ball? So you got to go with whoever comes out with it. Don't you? There was just no way to know.
I know what Jamie's going to say. Say it, Jamie.
I always think it's just at that time of the game, they're just
you're reffing. You feel bad for them. It's a pity call.
They're reffing because it's a pity call. It's a pity call. They're doing it to give Navy a break, and that is, I would use strong language. That's a joke, but
our nation's heroes don't need that. Jamie.
Yeah.
Don't patronize them.
That's
Jamie.
right. No,
and I don't mean you. I mean the referees. Don't patronize.
I think we would have seen had Coach Yama been on the sideline and that happened. I think boom. That's what we would have seen.
Oh, there was also that flinch on
on the fourth down.
Yeah.
And it was obvious.
Yeah, no doubt. Totally. Yes.
So I mean, I didn't notice anything egregious like Notre Dame did something and they should have called it or something like that, right? Because there's usually something like that where like, oh man, you really saw like Hart grab the guy's arm and they did call PI or something. But I didn't see that in this game. it just seemed to be all Navy because they were getting dominated. They were getting dominated, so they had bad stuff happen to them, and they gave them the breaks. But
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say I feel bad for Newberry because he's a new coach, and it's like, I mean, this is part of the life, right? That you're taking over, and it wasn't like he took over a team, especially offensively. Like, it's going to be a rough go offensively for them. But like kicking that field goal at the end of the game is just, oh my gosh, like just brutal, just brutal. And then I think too that that defense, they really missed. John Marshall was like the dude for them last year.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have a dude. They don't have it. They don't have that guy. Right. And they had a linebacker before that Fajot, right? Diego Fajot. Like he was he was a stud. But they were like borderline NFL guys, like either like great college players, borderline NFL guys, and they don't have that. They don't have that on their team right now, and they're bad in the secondary too. So I think it's going to be a bit of a long haul for them, which I guess is good for Notre Dame, obviously, because they have to play them every year. But I think it's going to be quite a rebuild there.
Yeah.
I mean, we said before, like, it was really not a good time for Navy to play Notre Dame. Like, it was a very bad matchup for them. So, Notre Dame, better team, came out. The coaches took care of business. They needed Notre Dame to be sloppy and unprepared and not ready to go. And it was the opposite. It wasn't going to happen for them. If Notre Dame can come out and put together that kind of performance on both sides of the ball, it wasn't going to be their night. And it wasn't. So, hopefully they can turn that around. Offensive player of the game, Mike Frank, let's hear it.
It's got to be Sam Hartman. I mean, I don't know. I thought that there were a lot of guys who played well, but it's certainly got to be Sam Hartman.
Jamie.
I mean, Hartman. I was going to say Rocco just for fun, but no.
I'm going to say the guards. I mean,
they were great. They were great.
I'm going to say the guards.
Play as well, they did. Yeah.
First college start for both of them. Sam Hartman, this is his 90th start. Minus. And so I just think they came out. They controlled the line of scrimmage right away. They were moving people. That's why you have those guys. They can move people. Jamie, you put it. Coogan, he's a mauler. He wants to be physical and that sort of thing. And he was. I think that they needed to look good. Because to me, and it's not like I disagree. Like, Sam Hartman was great in this game. It's not like he wasn't. But to me, this was a bigger day for the offensive line and those guards, because Sam Hartman can look good with the guards not looking good. He can still perform, but it bodes bigger for the season if those two guys can come out and look the way that they did. So I'll give it to them. I'm gonna give them credit. We had a lot of questions, and the questions that I had about continuity and stuff, I mean, Joe Rudolph had those guys ready to go. So
he did.
Good for him.
Absolutely.
Defensive player of the game, Jamie, who you got?
Maris Leofau, to me, he was the guy pretty much from that point on when he forced that fumble. Like, it was like I think he almost like needed that to kind of like, okay, yes, like I had that. He had that confidence, and he was just all over it. He played really, really well. I mean, obviously it's the same kind of thing. You could pick a bunch of people, but he was it for me.
I'd say same for me.
Yeah, I have to agree. I thought he played with the most conviction. I could have gone with Jack Kaiser. He played really well in this game. And so yeah, that's where I'm gonna go there. Any final thoughts, boys, before we get going?
No, I just want to say I'm not sure how much I'll be able to be on the postgame show this year. Matt asked me to help him out with some of the Marcus Freeman transcripts because he gets so tied up, and he's got so much to do with the video and all the other stuff. So I'll probably be doing a lot of the transcripts, immediately afterwards. So I'm sure I won't be missed too much. You guys do a hell of a job here. So, but when I can, I'm going to definitely get on and maybe if at some point, if you guys feel so inclined, I may even come on a Hit and Hustle now and again. That would
let's go. Yeah. Let's go.
So,
we might get Mike on a show. You know what, Mike? I'm gonna try to get you on a show like on an off day, and I want to do some national talk. I want to do some
sure, absolutely.
I think that would be fun. We can mix it up with that.
Yeah, I try not to step on you two's toes, because you guys do a great product here, and sometimes when you have three people, especially somebody like a blowhard like me, that just tends to ramble on after a while, it can kind of ruin the chemistry between two people. And so I'm not saying that I'm doing that, but you just never know. So
Greg stole your rant today, Mike, when he went off on Jason Garrett.
I just didn't have anything to rant about. I mean, there's nothing to
no, there isn't. No, there's not.
There really wasn't. It was been.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
gosh.
the thing.
Hey, let's give credit to Marcus Freeman. I mean, this is not an easy thing for a coach to come over here and do this. Now, the real test is going to be coming back from this and playing the next game. And do you show up and play just as well the next game? But when you talk about just the whole magnitude of doing this and then going out and putting on a performance like they did, and it wasn't just that they played well; they played disciplined and not stupid. And man, this was a very good head coaching job by Marcus Freeman. And we got to hope that he can take that into the next week and get him ready for the next week, because we've seen like the Marshall game and things like that. We don't want to see that again. So we got to hope that they come back strong. But Marcus Freeman, hey, thumbs up, very, very good job, I thought.
All right. Anything from you, Jamie?
Yeah, I will just kind of piggyback on Mike there and just say that probably not enough credit will go to Marcus Freeman here because, obviously players play great, coordinators did a great job, everybody went all that. But when all that's going on, I mean, the head guy should get the credit too.
Yeah.
And they absolutely took care of business, especially considering what happened last year. Like, it was a very similar situation last year in terms of where they were at halftime. You did not see a letdown. Notre Dame actually dominated more after halftime in certain respect, especially on defense. And just came out, and I thought you can go all the way back to, I thought it was a really good camp for Notre Dame. And there's a reason why that so many of us were just very high on what we saw from Notre Dame. And just, I think he did a good job of managing, not getting guys hurt. Guys came into this game healthy, and I mean, it showed. It really, really showed. So, kudos to Marcus Freeman, kudos to everybody in the Notre Dame football team and staff. And now it's on to Tennessee State, and just keep, the main thing is like, they got to keep doing it one by one, because you can't have a letdown before you get to the big ones, obviously.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest indicators of a good coach and a good staff is the ability to prepare your team. And he had them prepared. And so full credit to Marcus Freeman for that. I would say, first test very much passed for Jared Parker. For the same thing, getting them ready to go and getting the team prepared to come out and play with conviction, with confidence.
Helps when you got a QB like that, though, man.
Absolutely. It does really not hurt. It does not hurt. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow morning on the morning after recap. We'll be here. So hit the like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I'm going live. That's usually around 9:30 Eastern time that I'm going to be talking about stats and PFF grades and all those other things. Anything you guys want to talk about. It's a very viewer interactive show. So we will talk to you tomorrow morning. Notre Dame 1-0, 42-3 over Navy. Have a good rest of the day, everyone.